Jai Shri Ram. So we come to 49, Canto 49 in Ayodhyakand. And in this, the summary of this is, having covered a long distance in the meantime, Sri Ram finishes his morning bath and devotions, and having crossed the Veda Shruti, Gomti and Syandika rivers, presses forward talking with Sumantra. So, revolving in his mind the command of his father, Sri Ram, too, a tiger among men, covered a long distance in the course of the remaining hours of the night itself. Even as he drove along with the same alacrity, the delightful night passed. Having worshipped the blissful morning twilight, he passed beyond a number of territories. Seeing villages whose outskirts had been carefully tiled and woodlands laden with blossoms and led by excellent horses, he proceeded apace as though slowly, engrossed as he was in enjoying the sights, hearing the words of those residing in villages and hamlets close by, woe unto King Dashrath, who has fallen into the clutches of concupiscence. Ah, the cruel and sinful Kaikai, who is hot-tempered and of sinful designs and has transgressed the bounds of propriety, is herself engaged at present in a cruel game, in that she has been instrumental in sending into exile in the forest such a pious, highly enlightened, compassionate and self-controlled son of the emperor. How will the highly blessed Sita, daughter of King Janak, who is ever given to comforts, actually suffer hardships? What a pity that King Dashrath has grown so devoid of affection on this occasion that he seeks to abandon Sri Ram, who is sinless towards the people. Hearing these remarks of men residing in the adjoining villages and hamlets, the heroic prince of Koshala, Sri Ram, passed beyond the limits of Koshala. Having crossed the river named Veda Shruti, which carries auspicious water, he then pressed forward facing the south, the quarter occupied by sage Agastya. Journeying for his part in that direction for a pretty long time, he next crossed the river Gomti, which carried cool waters and heads towards the sea through the medium of the holy Ganga, and whose banks are adorned with cows. Having reached the other bank of the Gomti too, Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, crossed with the help of swift-going horses the river Syandika, as well, made resonant by peacocks and swans. The said Sri Ram now showed to Sita, a princess of the Videha kingdom, the prosperous land of Koshala, the southern boundary of which was defined by Syandika, which was given of yore by Manu, the king of kings, to his eldest son Ikshvaku, and which was bounded on all sides by other adjoining territories. Repeatedly addressing the aforesaid charioteer in the words, O charioteer, the glorious Ram, the foremost of men, whose voice resembled the crackling of a swan in rut, said, when returning back to Ayodhya and united once more with my parents, shall I roam hunting in the woodland bordering on the Sharayu and laden with blossoms? I do not hanker much after sport in a woodland bordering on the Sharayu. In fact, it is a unique enjoyment made much of in the world by hosts of royal sages. Truly speaking, hunting in a forest was restored to in this world for the gratification of royal sages. Even though it was adopted at times by the sons of Manu and was sought after by other bowmen, I do not long for it excessively. Conversing thus with the charioteer on various topics in sweet words, the said Sri Ram, a scion of Ikshvaku, advanced along that route. Thus ends Canto 49 in the AYODHYAKAND of the glorious Ramayan of Valmiki, the work of a rishi and the oldest epic. Now it is the turn of Canto 50. Standing with his face towards Ayodhya, Sri Ram bids farewell to his birthplace and sending back the people hailing from the countryside who had come to see him, and crossing the frontiers of Koshala, Sri Ram reaches the bank of the holy Ganga. Alighting from the chariot under an ingudi tree standing on the bank, he goes forward to meet Guha, the chief of Nishads, who had come to meet him. Nay, worshipping the evening twilight and taking water only for food and drink, the prince lies down on the ground to repose for the night, while Sumantra, Guha, and Lakshman spend the night talking together. This is the summary of the Canto 50. Now we start the reading. Having travelled across the extensive and beautiful territory of Koshala and standing with his face towards Ayodhya, the wise Sri Ram, elder brother of Lakshman, was with folded hands addressed the following words to Ayodhya. I take leave of you, O preeminent city, carefully protected by King Dashrath, a sign of Kakushta, as well as of the deities that protect you and dwell in you. When the period of my exile in the forest has expired and I have got square with the emperor by executing his command and implementing the promise made by him to Kaikeyi, I shall see you again, united once more with my mother and father. Lifting up his right arm and wearing a wretched look, his face covered with tears, Sri Ram, who was possessed of lovely reddish eyes, then spoke to the people hailing from the countryside as follows. Respect my compassion according to my worth in your eyes have been shown to me by you all. Prolongation of the agony which is being experienced by you due to your presence by my side is most undesirable. Therefore, pray, let you be gone for accomplishing your desired chores, attending to your household work. Greeting the high-souled prince and going round him clockwise as a mark of respect, those men stood rooted here and there, not minding where they stood, wailing frightfully. Even while they were lamenting, as aforesaid, unsated as they were with sight of Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, passed beyond their sight just as the sun goes out of sight at the commencement of night. Sri Ram, a tiger among men, then crossed in his chariot the blessed and lovely territory of Koshala, which was full of food grains and other riches, and was peopled by men given to charity, which had no fear from any quarter, and was covered all over with temples and sacrificial posts, which was rich in gardens and mango groves, and strewn with ponds full of water, which was thickly populated with contented and well-fed people, and abounded in herds of cows, nay, each village of which deserved to be protected by kings, and which was made resonant with the chanting of the Vedas. Thence, Sri Ram, the foremost of those possessed of firmness, drove at a moderate speed to a happy and prosperous territory, ruled over by a number of feudatory chiefs and abounding in lovely gardens. There, in the confines of that kingdom, Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, saw the celestial and lovely river Ganga, which takes a threefold course, flowing as it does through heaven, earth, and the subterranean regions, carries cool water, is free from duckweed, sand, and is frequented by rishis. The blessed river was adorned with splendid hermitages, standing not very far from one another, and its pools, overflowing with water, were restored to at suitable hours by merry celestial nymphs. Nay, the blessed river was graced with the presence of gods and demons, Gandharvas, celestial musicians, and Kinnaras, and was constantly visited by the consorts of Nagas and Gandharvas. The well-known river was hemmed in by hundreds of pleasure hills forming part of the Himalayan range and adorned with celestial gardens. It coursed through the heavens for the benefit of gods and contained celestial lotuses. It assumed a severe aspect which, while indulging in a hoarse laugh in the form of a noise produced by the striking of its water against rocks, and seemed to shed a bright smile when covered with white foam. At some places, its water was reduced to the shape of plated logs because of its flowing in a curved line, while at other places it was adorned with eddies. Somewhere its water was still and deep, and at other places they were disturbed with violent agitation. Here it made a deep roaring sound, and there it produced a terrific noise. Hosts of gods took a dip into its water, covered all over with white lotuses. Here it was hemmed in with spacious banks, and there it was lined with white sands. The river, which is free from reproach in every way, was rendered noisy by swans and cranes, was graced with kakra a species of bird which gets disunited with its mate by night, and other birds which are in rut all the year round kept hovering on its water. Here it was decked with trees growing on its bank, which encircled it like garlands. Here it was covered with full blown lotuses, while there it was carpeted with a bed of lotuses. Here it was graced with beds of water lilies in the form of buds, while there it was reddened with the pollen of numerous flowers and looked like a woman excited with passion. Stocks of sins in those bathing in it or drinking of its waters was washed away by it, and it presents an appearance spotless as the effulgence of a gem. The interior of the forest encircling its bank is rendered noisy by the elephants guarding the quarters, wild elephants and other tame elephants of excellent breed, belonging to the Airavat species, now used for riding by Indra, the ruler of gods. Surrounded by trees laden with fruits and flowers and tender leaves, shrubs and birds of various species, it looked like a young woman artistically decked with the best of jewels. Not only devoid of sins, the celestial river dispels all sins, flowing as it does from the holy feet of Lord Vishnu. In deep waters, the river was infested with sharks and crocodiles, as well as with snakes, and had fallen from the mass of matted hair on the head of Lord Shankara, thanks to the yoga power acquired through religious austerities by Emperor Bhagirath. In the vicinity of Shringaverapura, the modern Sringor, Sri Ram, the mighty armed prince, reached the bank of Ganga, the principal consort of ocean, which was rendered noisy by cranes and herons. Perceiving the river, which was full of eddies, interspersed with its waves, the great car warrior said to the charioteer Sumantra, "Let us halt at this very spot today. Not very far from the river stands this very large ingudi tree containing abundant flowers and fresh leaves. Let us halt under this very tree, O charioteer. I shall clearly behold from the place the benign Ganga, the foremost of rivers, whose waters deserve to be respected by gods, human beings, Gandharvas, beasts, reptiles, and birds alike." Saying very well and nothing more to Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, Lakshman and Sumatra too drove up to the ingudi tree in the chariot drawn by horses. Approaching that lovely tree, Sri Ram, the delight of the Ikshvakus, alighted from that chariot along with his consort and with Lakshman. Getting down and unyoking the excellent horses, Sumantra too, with joined palms, stood by the side of Sri Ram, seated at the foot of the tree. The king of that territory, Guha by name, was a friend of Sri Ram, dear to him as his own life. He was a Nishad by birth, possessed of bodily as well as military strength, owing as he did a large army consisting of all four limbs, viz., elephants, chariots, horsemen, and foot soldiers, and was well known as a ruler of the Nishads. Hearing of Sri Ram, a tiger among men, having arrived in his territory and accompanied by his elder ministers and relations too, he sought the prince. Seeing from a distance the ruler of Nishads waiting, the said Sri Ram, along with Lakshman, son of Sumitra, thereupon went forth to meet Guha. Closely embracing Sri Ram, a sign of Raghu, Guha, who felt distressed to see him clad in the robes of a hermit, said to him, "This principality of Shringaverapura is as much yours as Ayodhya. O Ram, what shall I do for you? In fact, who will get such a beloved guest as you, O mighty armed prince?" Having brought cooked rice of excellent quality and other dishes of various kinds, he then quickly offered him water to wash his hands with and other articles of worship, and spoke as follows. So the tradition goes. "Welcome is your advent to this place, O mighty armed prince. This entire land of mine is yours. We are your servants, you are our master. Pray rule over our kingdom in the proper way from now. Nay, here are at your service dishes requiring mastication, such as rice, and those which can be eaten without mastication, such as milk boiled with rice and sugar, those which can be drunk, those which are fit to be licked up, and those which can be sucked. Moreover, there are excellent beds for you to sleep on, as well as fodder for your horses." To Guha, who was speaking as aforesaid, Sri Ram, a sign of Raghu, for his part, they say, replied as follows: "We stand honored by you, by your very coming all the way on foot to meet us, as well as by your exhibition of affection, and are always pleased with you." Pressing Guha tightly once more with his rounded arms, Sri Ram added the following: "I am glad, O Guha, to see you quite in good health, and your relations. Is all well with your state, allies, and forests? I, for my part, accept and allow you to take back all this that has been lovingly offered by you, since I do not make use of gifts for my own purpose. Know me as under a vow to wear a zone of kusha grass, the bark of trees and deerskin, and to subsist on fruits and roots alone, to practice austerities and dwell in the forest, remaining devoted to piety. I am interested only in having food for the horses and in nothing else. Being provided with this much at the present moment, I shall be duly entertained by you." On that very spot, the said Guha commanded his men in the following words: "Let milk, etc., which horses of excellent breeds are given to drink after being fed with grass, etc., and barley flour mixed with ghee, sugar, and so on, which they are given to eat in addition to grass, etc., be promptly supplied to the horses." Having worshipped the evening twilight, appearing in the west with an upper garment made of the bark of trees on his person, Sri Ram then took for food only water brought by Lakshman himself, thus observing a fast in honor of the sacred river which he visited. Having clearly washed the feet of Sri Ram and his consort lying on the ground to repose for the night, and receding from that place, Lakshman took his position at the foot of another tree close by. Following in the footsteps of Lakshman and encouraging him to speak on the virtues of Sri Ram, and wielding his bow, Guha too thereupon kept vigil with the charioteer, remaining alert at all the time in the interest of Sri Ram. While the illustrious, lofty-minded and high-souled Sri Ram, son of Dashrath, who had never undergone suffering and who was used to all comforts, remained lying after that on the ground as aforesaid, that night eventually lingered away. Thus ends Canto 50 in the AYODHYAKAND of the glorious Ramayan of Valmiki, the work of a rishi and the oldest epic. Jai Shri Ram.